Africa. You are watching the news on African Free Press Television. My name is Bridget Okudili with the news updates. President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday distanced himself from the proposed social media bill currently being debated in the Senate seeking to restrict Nigerians from criticizing political and public office holders. This is just as the United Nations is considering the petition filed by rights groups, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project against the bill. The President, speaking through his Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Madam Garba Shehu, stated that the principle of the bill was inconsistent with democratic ideals of free speech enshrined in the Constitution of the land. He added that he had sworn to protect and uphold the dictates of the Constitution and would not in any way go against it. Following the conclusion of the governorship election in Kogi State, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has explained why it would not declare any other person other than Yahaya Bello of the All Progressive Congress (APC) as the duly elected governor of the state. INEC said its hands were legally bound and so could not have changed the rules in the middle of the game. This happened as Bello's deputy, Mr. James Faleke, declared that he would not be available for swearing in with Bello on January 27. Faleke had, upon the death of his principal, Prince Abubakar Audu, written INEC to declare him as winner of the polls, despite INEC having initially declared the poll as inconclusive. The federal government has broken up the controversial petroleum industry bill into different versions and is proposing splitting the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) into two companies, the Nigeria Petroleum Assets Management Company and the National Oil Company, that would be run on commercial lines and partly privatized. According to a report obtained from Reuters yesterday, the federal government is breaking up the PIB and is replacing it first with a law to overhaul the petroleum sector, with the aim of closing loopholes that bred corruption. Under the draft legislation, the report stated that the NOC will be an integrated oil and gas company operating as a fully commercial entity and will run like a private company. The NOC would be expected to keep its revenues, deduct costs directly and pay dividends to the government. The fuel crisis took a dramatic turn for the worse yesterday as massive queues were seen in almost all the petrol stations selling the product in Abuja. Some oil marketers who spoke to newsmen blamed the prolonged scarcity on the insincerity of the federal government and called on Nigerians to expect a further worsening of the situation in the days ahead. This was after a slight improvement was recorded for a few days after the Senate approved the supplementary budget, which was to be used mainly for payments of subsidy claims to oil marketers. Some marketers blamed the renewed intensity of the crisis on the fact that they are yet to receive payments for their subsidy claims, a situation that had made it difficult for them to purchase the product. The marketers disclosed that Nigerians should expect tougher days ahead, stating that if the subsidy claims are eventually paid, it will take days for oil marketers to access the funds, place order for the products, get the consignments and start distributing the products to all the nooks and crannies of the country. The federal government has unveiled 2016 budget proposal of 6 trillion naira, allocating 30% of the budget to capital expenditure. The proposed budget is predicted on crude oil price of $38 per barrel and crude oil production of 2.2 million barrels per day. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) also approved the submitted the medium-term expenditure framework to the National Assembly. In the current budget, the government submitted a budget proposal of 4.38 billion naira to the National Assembly, which raised it to 4.9 trillion naira. The 2015 budget was predicted on crude oil price of $68 per barrel and crude oil production of 2.8 million barrels per day. Ghana's Judicial Council has announced that 20 judges have been implicated in a high-profile investigation into bribe-taking. The dismissal came after hearings before a 5-member disciplinary committee appointed by Ghana's Chief Justice Georgina Wood focusing on undercover footage shot by a local newspaper. 22 lower court judges and magistrates were initially identified, as well as 12 high court judges in a case that has rocked the West African nation. All were suspended pending the investigation. One judge among the 21 lower court judges was removed before being mistakenly named as part of the probe. 14 Angolan opposition activists on trial since mid-November have threatened to go on hunger strike over what they said was the slow pace of the hearings. The group of activists, numbering 17, which included prominent rapper Luati Biaro, students, journalists, and even members of the military, was arrested on June 20th at a youth movement gathering to demand the departure of Dos Santos, who has been in power since 1979. They were picked up during a meeting of a book reading club where one of the books of the line-up was about nonviolent resistance to repressive regimes. 14 of the 17 activists on trial wrote an open letter to President José Eduardo dos Santos saying they can look forward to being convicted knowing that their arrest was unfair. 3 of the accused did not sign the letter to dos Santos. They risked jail terms of up to 12 years if found guilty of rebellion and coup attempts or deny the charges. A Pentagon official says the U.S. killed a senior leader of the Al-Shabaab extremist group in an airstrike last week in Somalia. The December 2nd strike that killed 3 was announced on Monday by Pentagon spokesperson Navy Captain Jeff Davis. Davis identified the targeted Al-Shabaab senior leader as Abdurrahman Sandere and said he is also known as Yukash. Davis also said the U.S. has confirmed that a November 13 airstrike killed a senior ISIS leader in Libya known as Abu Nabil. U.S. officials have said shortly after the attack that Nabil likely had died. For more stories, please log on to our website on www.africanfreepress.com, like our Facebook page at African Free Press, follow us on Twitter at African Free Press, join in our discussions on African Free Press Forum, and subscribe to our YouTube channel on African Free Press. My name is Bridget Okudili. Do have a good day.